Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of our cyber operations and risk management briefing. My name is George Moses, and I'll be your host for this presentation. Within the next couple of minutes, we're going to be looking at the cyber operation and risk management of our organization, and also to see and also dig into ways and means that we can mitigate all the risk. At any point in time, should in case you have any questions, please do not hesitate to stop me, and I'll be more than happy to answer all the questions that you have. We're going to start off by looking at what software assurance is and how it can be beneficial to our organization. So a software assurance and the basic idea can be characterized as the dimension of trust in which software is free from the various types of vulnerabilities, which can either be purposeful or unintentional during the life cycle. The primary goal of software assurance is guaranteeing that the various approaches, the forms, techniques, or items uh, and other related exercises used for creating and supporting such programming really adjust to every single appropriate standard and necessity. Moreover, the well-being and security of software being created is likewise a center of concern and essential goal of a software assurance. In addition, software assurance will ensure the reliability, the quality, safety, verification, and validation of our software. So now we're going to be looking at some of the components of software development cycle. But before we do that, let's just have a little bit of understanding of what software development cycle is. So software development cycle is basically a framework that is used designing the tasks performed at each step in the software development process. So there are six components to software development cycle. The first one is the planning. The planning analysis is the second one. Design, implementation, testing, and integration, and finally the maintenance stage. So during the planning phase, this is pretty much like the most valuable aspect of every software development. It includes the allocation of human and also material resources, capacity arrangement, the scheduling of the project, the cost or the estimated cost involved, and also all the provisions. In most scenarios, the required planning is generally performed by the most experienced and talented software engineers within an organization. So after the planning stage comes the analysis stage. So this test is pretty much analyzing the performance of the software at various and making note for additional requirements, or if there's any changes. We just analyze it and make sure that we address those changes. Upon completion of analysis, the design is just take over. During the design stage, the architecture of the product is built. After the design stage comes the implementation of, of the software. So actually the software start doing them at this stage. The software developer begins coding as indicated by the prescription, and also now we're going to be looking at some of what are the components of our software development life cycle. So basically, before we do that, let's see what is actually a software development life cycle. So this is a framework that defines the tasks that will be performed at each stage of the software development process. So as we can see, we have six stages of the software development process. We have the planning of the software, the analysis stage, we have the design stage, the implementation stage, the testing. So the testing stage is pretty much where we will assess um, the product for any errors, and also make documentation of it if there's any. And also like the maintenance stage is pretty much make sure that the software runs smoothly and free from all errors. So there are various methodologies of software development cycle, life cycle, and some of the list are waterfall model, V-shaped model, prototype model, spiral model, interactive and incremental model, and also agile model. As an organization, among all these models, the one that fits us is the prototype model. So in the prototype model, the model is created in the necessity stage and assessed by end users. Based on the feedback of the users, software development would modify the model to fulfill the requirements of the users. This model will be perfect fit for an organization because not all the requirements of the software are known ahead of time. In addition, the model also ensures that the consumers are effectively involved in the development of the product. Also, our developers will be able to identify any errors or functionalities earlier in the developmental or in the developing phase of the software. With this model, we will receive a quicker feedback from our users, which will help our organization to get a better result. The final reason why I think this model will be best for our organization is that it encourages flexibility and also innovation designs. So we're now going to look at supply chain risk and also some of the supply chain risk factors. So we're going to start off by defining or explaining what actually is a supply chain risk. So a supply chain risk is a procedure by which the risks related or the dangers related to with the securing and provision of components such as hardware, software, and infrastructure are consistently audited and reviewed. So some of the factors of supply chain risk are the country of origin, physical security, environmental and social responsibility, and internal process. So we're gonna start by talking about the country of origin. So knowing the area of our suppliers is really important because there are some nations that have so we're now going to look at what is supply chain risk and what are some of the factors that could influence or affect it. So supply chain risk management is the procedure by which the dangers related with securing and provisioning of components like software, hardware, and infrastructure are consistently audited and reviewed. Such endeavors are connected to the end goal of limiting the effect of risk on our business activities and the security of the system and data. Some of the factors that can affect our supply chain include the country of origin, physical security, environmental and social responsibilities, and also internal processes. Currently, our organization is using Windows 10, and it's not a lot of vulnerabilities that do exist under this operating system. But some of the vulnerabilities under the Windows 10 operating system are lack of malware protection, weak drive encryption, lack of personal file protection, weak window security policy, weak password, Windows scripting host. Some of the potential software options that organization can utilize are your Linux operating system, Mac operating system, and Ubuntu operating system. So the Linux operating system is an open source based system which is based on Unix, whilst Ubuntu is also another open source that runs on Linux. The Mac operating system is an operating system for Apple computers. A well-known element is the most recent form of Mac OS X. Now we're going to look at the recommendations that organization can use to improve our software security. So the table pretty much explains or give us a recommendation on what we can do. So we will first look at the patch management. So patch management is a policy imperative for keeping our software security frequently updated. This includes acquiring, testing, and also introducing a few patches to the computer system with the end goal of protecting it against malware attacks. Execution of cybersecurity risk management is the next recommendation that our organization will consider. So cybersecurity risk management software is used to mitigate and also manage cybersecurity risk. It increases visibility and lessens vulnerability by dealing with all our risk-related exercises from one focal online framework or system. The next one is the user behavior analytics. A user behavior analysis will assist our organization to track and gather access user information and activities used utilizing monitoring frameworks. Also, the user behavior analysis innovation examine verifiable information logs, which includes system and verification logs data and also stored in our system. The table provide our organization with some of the recommended software and also the cost. So some of the recommended software that can help us to improve our security are the secure patch management policy, information and communication technology, supply chain management implementation, cybersecurity risk software, antivirus software, and also anti-ransom software. Some of the brand names that we can consider when under the patch management are the Patch Manager, Manage Engine Desktop Central, Size 8, Server Manager. And also under the information of communication, we have the Oracle CSM Cloud and also Halo. And also under the cyber risk management software, we have the Sephora risk assessment and also Integram. Under the antivirus, we can look at the Norton Avera, and also under the anti-ransom software, we have the Avast, and also we have Zminer, and also anti-malware. So these are all the things that we can consider when trying to improve our security and also to avoid any future attacks on our networks. So last but not the least is the contract language and why we think it's beneficial. So a contract language basically is a legitimate, enforceable understanding between two people. So it's something like coming into an agreement under the legal guidance. So every contract language should include an offer, acceptance, consideration, mutual consent, and legality. Having all these elements will ensure that we have a valid and also an enforceable contract for our organization when dealing with our partners. Thanks to everyone for listening to our presentation, and should in case you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to our IT department, and we will gladly address all the issues or all the concerns that you have.